And now, here's Chris Simons.
Massive for me, bro.
Yeah.
So now I'm cashing checks on my bullies. I'm cashing checks on my bullies. Like, that's the real fact of
Boom.
it. Those are the most important chicks to me right now.
Danny, my man,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
Bro, it's a pleasure to finally be here. I feel like we've talked about this for a while.
It's a long time coming, right?
Yeah, now we're finally here. Some good discussion. It's a beautiful Friday. Man, what a place to be.
I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
this ball rolling.
It's like the last memory I have of one of these kids, bro, he threw a school chair at me because he called me about Oreo in high school, which I was. I was black on the outside, white on the inside. Completely true. And I turned around and said to him, well, you're not even smart enough to finish school. The kid turned around, picked up a chair and threw it halfway across the classroom. I was doing my work, dude. He smacked me in the face.
Oh.
And that was my last memory of this kid because he got stood down after that. That was his third time, so he got kicked out of school. I hadn't seen him since, and then he reached out on social media and now he's my client. Crazy, right?
Wow, see, so social media can be a positive.
It can be
There
if
is
you
positives.
use it for the right reasons, man.
There you
it's
go.
also a very toxic thing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
of course. So let's go deep. Let's go into the taboo of
Give me
black. Don't choke.
this.
Black Lives Matter. Let's make it is a huge topic around the whole world,
Last year was crazy.
especially in America.
Yeah.
You know, as we're shooting this now, it's in January 2021, which just come out of 2020, which is probably the craziest year
A
ever in our
taboo
lives.
year, essentially.
It's literally crazy for everybody.
Yeah.
But Black Lives Matter. How, you know, what's your views on it? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it, you know, how does the world, you know, where do we go from here? What happens? Black Lives Matter. From Danny.
From Danny. See, like this is where it's hard for me. Because once again, I believe in the mission statement.
Yeah.
I believe in the cause.
Yeah.
I believe in the group.
Yeah.
I believe in everything to do with it.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like you shouldn't need an organization to stand up for what you believe in. All these people posting Black Lives Matters on their page, all these like links to the bios, they were never there before. You didn't even have anything before this that was linking you to Black Lives Matter or anything like that. All of us, you've been an overnight, what do you call it?
Overnight raving supporter.
What do they call when you're an overnight enthusiast? You know, I call them
I've
enthusiasts.
seen it a lot.
Because if you really bout it, you've been bout it before last year. You know, you
Kind of like a sheep herd.
a sheep herd thing, and all of a sudden, like, man, black people being extorted by cops is not fucking new. This is not new, but it takes a group making a group called BLM to make everybody join BLM. It's not a gang, dude. This is for a cause. Like something really happened to
Like
someone.
to make it consciously aware we've had enough. Like changes need to happen.
Yeah, and I get it that okay, BLM is going to go down in history like the Black Panthers. You know what I mean? It's going to go down as a massive change or a massive moment that brought about a lot of change, and it has, which is really good. But then it comes back to my whole thing about why do we have to understand? Why does it have to be a group that makes a massive Instagram hashtag and put your screens black for one day on a Tuesday to make everybody wake up and be like, black people get treated badly. It didn't start last
All
year.
these people just come out of the woodwork like.
Yeah, and that for me is what my problem is. You know what I mean? That's my only problem for it.
Yeah, and like for me, I didn't put a Black Lives Matter
And
poster.
that's not a problem. It shouldn't be.
It wasn't at all that I don't love Black Lives anymore or don't support it. It was like, I'm not going to be the sheep just because everyone's doing it, because it's actually, these people, a lot of people that are putting up, actually doesn't mean anything for them. They're just doing it to like, oh, I'm doing such a good deed.
I'm too scared to
look
not
at
do
me.
it.
Oh
But
my God.
Do you know honestly why I can say...
And people get the shits. They're like, oh, you didn't do a Black Lives Matter post. Like,
No.
there's something wrong with you or you're racist because you didn't put the post up. Like,
no,
that's just ridiculous.
And I had to explain to people, this is Danny being mature now. They didn't post because they're not educated, man. And that's honestly it, because you don't know. It's not that you want to take a stand, but it's like, I'm not properly educated to have a solid enough opinion. And that's fine. Well, let me educate you.
And people want to put the thing up, they don't even know what they're really doing yet.
They're doing,
like,
oh, someone died from a cop that was black and everybody's doing it. And my favorite Instagram is doing it, so I'm going to do it too. But that's just as bad as just like standing there and putting your hand up for something you don't believe in because you're seeing everybody else do it.
It means
you're shooting
nothing.
blanks.
It's like the cried wolf kind of thing.
Exactly.
It starts
and
to
that's
mean
why
nothing.
we have the conversation now. What do you feel about it?
Exactly.
And I don't know, because we've got all these people that are talking about it. That do they really believe in it? But
And what have they done since the posting that picture?
Exactly.
Like,
whereas I truly believe that the human individuals like you that don't post doesn't mean you don't believe. It's just that you don't understand.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a misunderstanding there, and you want to know more. You would rather sit down on a personal level.
I don't fully know. Like, obviously, I know I'm supporting, Black Lives Matter, which is great.
You're a normal human.
But I did that before. I don't need to put a post. I've always done it. So let's get deep. Let's get deep, Danny. So you were telling me offline before we started about some racial, some events that happened in your life in Coogee and a couple more. So tell us, what was life like growing up as a coloured man? Tell us about that.
Well, to be honest with
Let's
you,
go to the taboo.
The taboo questions.
Where we're doing it. Let's go.
We're
doing the Black Lives Matter. The colour.
And look,
we're doing
everything we say here, Matt, everything I say is all from personal experience. You know what I mean? Everything that comes out. If you're listening and you get offended, that is not our intention.
No.
That's on you. We're just trying to bring a bit of awareness.
It is what it is. Yeah. There's no fluff.
So growing up, it was all good. In New Zealand, you don't really. We don't know. We have this thing called the Treaty of Waitangi that was invented a long time ago, man. So everybody just seeing each other as equal. But the thing that I think we need to understand here is that racism, because we don't, it wasn't such a taboo thing in New Zealand growing up. It wasn't so like, hey, you have the Aboriginals here and the white man here. How Aboriginals were still seen, it was a fauna as until about maybe 15 years ago, right?
Yes.
15, 20 years ago now. New Zealand was never like that.
Yes.
We all cool. But what we need to understand is that the words that were still said between each of our people and between each other was still fucking disgusting. Sorry about the language, it was disgusting, man. Yeah. And being a child growing up, you get caught in that. But I was saying to you before, looking back on some of the events of how I got treated by some teachers. Yeah. And then now having to talk to my mom now that I'm older and being like, hey, when you went to when I was a child and you yelled at that teacher, Mr. Sheehan, I'm going to call him out because he actually ruined my last year of primary school.
Mr. Sheehan.
Mr. Sheehan. Was that because of was he being racist to me, Mom? Was he singling me out of class?
So you're saying that you were in class and you get singled out by your teacher. Was he a white man?
Yeah, so we would have a bunch of boys. My best friends, I was the only brown boy.
This is in New Zealand, right?
Yeah. I was one of maybe 3 brown boys in my whole high school. So to be honest with you, when I was in my suburb, I never left my suburb. So I thought I was the only brown person in the whole of Wellington, to be honest. So going to high school was a massive shock for me. So all my mates growing up, we were all, I was considered a white boy. If you used to say I was black, I'd be like, mate, what? Really? Yeah, that's all I knew, man. I was only chilling. I was the one broke kid that had all the rich white mates. I would call them rich, but they were just, working class. Wow. And so this teacher, he used to say, oh, all the boys are talking about, be quiet, be quiet. All right, everybody, be quiet. Everybody be quiet. Danny, you were still talking. Go sit in the corner. And I'm like, what? I look at Nick, and even Nick would be like, why am I not getting told off? It happened so many times like that. And that was the only reason I can say that's the situation, because that's how it always was. Everybody sit down. I was maybe a group of 4 that was the last to sit down, but I was the one that got told to go sit over there. Yeah. Everybody's still talking. Everybody stops, and I was a group of 5, but I was the one that got singled out. Yeah. So it came to time now where we have a traditional basketball game. I'm not allowed to play in it. My mum's asking why. I said, I don't know why. She goes, you have to have a reason. I was like, Mum, I don't know why. Wow. I think because I was talking in class, she was like, yeah, okay. She understood that the first time, at the start of the year. Yeah. And then, I couldn't play in the touch tournament. And then I couldn't play at the hockey tournament. Yeah. And then I wasn't allowed to go to the social dance. Yeah. And then she was like, what's going on? So the parent-teacher interviews come up at the half-time of the year. And my mum sits down with him. She starts listening, asking questions. He's like, he doesn't stop talking. He doesn't do his homework. She goes, that's a lie, because I sit down and do his homework every night. But my mum knew the guy. I wasn't like a bad kid, dude. Yeah. And so that all passed by, and I think my mate James, I think it was his mum, had said something to my mum. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think Danny's getting treated right. Wow. And she just looked and goes, what? So she came to me and she goes,
this is from his friend's mum.
No, my friend's mum, yeah. And this is one of my best friends, dude. My best friend's mum helped put me through school.
Wow.
He was English, Asian, you know, like that's all I know. Like, I just know multicultural people. I accept everyone. And so I'm sitting at this family's house, his yay nanas, and my mum comes over. And so they come over and mum goes, Danny, do you think you're getting treated differently at school? I was like, nah. Because I thought that was just me being disciplined. Yeah, like it had been happening almost now for like 4 months, dude. I'm just getting, my rocks were being told off. I didn't see it. I'm sitting in class one day, we have a reliever teacher room. I see my mum walk past the door. The way my year 8 classroom was, we were the bottom floor, all the juniors were upstairs, and we had a window that went around the classroom to the office. So you can see everybody walking to the office. I see my mum charging, and she looked at me and she smiled.
Ooh, she's going for it.
And then I see my mum's sister walk behind her.
Oh,
she
the sister's
she smiles. Yeah, bro. My mum came in,
Oh.
Batman and Batgirl, like literally. So she comes in, and I'm
After
like,
she's just found out that
yeah. So this
treated.
is the next day. So that happened on a Friday, Saturday, Sundays past. She's asking me about the rugby tournament, the hockey tournament. So what happened the week you didn't go to the hockey tournament, Danny? Oh, that week when the bell rang, me and the boys were still playing touch, and we came in a little bit late. Who was with you? Me, Nick, James, Hayden. You know, like every time, my guys. Oh, so what happened to them? Nothing, man. I was the last one in through the door. But you guys walked in as a group. Yeah. But they didn't get put outside. No, I had to sit in the hallway. You know? Always, boys, sitting there.
Wow.
And so mum comes in one day and we're sitting there. And I can hear my mother yelling from down the fucking corridor at this teacher, screaming her lungs out, man. She walks past, grabs me out of class, and she goes, don't worry, it's all better now. I didn't see Mr. Sheen again.
Wow.
That day, Mr. Sheen got fired. He is no longer allowed to teach at a Catholic school within New Zealand.
Wow.
And that is a true story because that information traveled around the school. When it went to, my mum works at Teachers University in New Zealand. And so she went and told the Catholic board, 1 + 1 is 2, and my mum's the program administrator at the New Zealand Teaching School. So yeah, that guy's no longer like
I can see it's like emotional. I can see
yeah,
the
like
eyes, I can see the emotions,
it's
like
crazy.
it's
I'm
you
shaking
down
again
there.
because I'm just like, oh my god, man. Like, that guy was crazy, dude. And he ended
So you obviously, you know, you've gone through a lot, and where you are now, how you've changed your life.
Yeah.
Would you say that you've gotten rid of some victim mentality? Like you let that stop you?
Nah.
You haven't been like,
Nah.
you know, like this happened to me, I'm gonna go off the rails, or I'm gonna get them back, or you know, I hate white people, or I hate teachers, whatever.
No way, man.
You know?
That's stupid talk, man. Like, look, were there times in my life where I tried to push the blame? But that's another rabbit hole, man. Like my blame always I always pushed my blame to my father. He left my mum when I was about 4 years old.
Okay.
You know, so that's where all my blame went.
Okay.
But the victim mentality for like didn't really come, if I'm to be honest with you, until I came to Australia.
Yeah.
Not even the victim mentality, the mentality of like, what the fuck, like, why me? Like, you know, like, what have I done? That type of mentality. Before that, I was always like, okay, that's cool. I've just got to listen now. Okay, that's cool. If I just apply myself different, it'll change. Yeah. Okay, so that's always been me, and it still is me.
Yeah.
But the first time I actually took a look and thought, like, man, like this is the world doing this to me. Like, this is not my problem now. I don't know what I've done. Like, this is, I don't, you know,
you're
like,
asking different questions.
All these questions, you know, like I didn't know what was going on. If I was the issue, if the world was the issue, if the system had been put in place, or was it people before me? It wasn't until I came to Australia and I started getting denied from clubs for nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah, you've told me about this.
I told you about that.
I was like, wow.
And it was, this is how this all came about, you and me talking, right? Because you saw my post about me crying in Coogee, right? I went to the club, and you know, I went to Coogee Bay, and I don't know if I should say the name. Is that a bad thing? I went to Coogee Bay. Anyways, the head security guard, I met him 2 weeks later.
Fluffy.
I told the head security guard 2 weeks later this story.
Let's talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Racism, mental health. What's your views on mental health and racism? Like, does it affect your mental health? Does racism affect your mental health?
Massively,
and how?
man. To say it doesn't is almost foolish, you know, like, because how can you not have like something that's out of your control that holds you back from being one of society, essentially, from being seen as normal, like normal,
ostracized in a way, like you're, you know.
How can you see something like that and not think it's not going to affect your mental health? You know, how though every time you leave the house, like it would just absolutely fuck with your mental health, man. Your anxiety would be spiky. Why is everybody looking at me? Do they like me? Do I have to act? Well, that's how I feel. I don't know if there's an actual term for it when you go out, but I am constantly on ball of how big I am. Yeah. Constantly on ball of how I look.
That's anxiety. That's
massive, man. Like, you know.
And it's a form of stress too. You're stressing about, you know, shit, what are they going to think? Am I going to get in?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't want to, you know, wreck it for everybody because I can't get in. Like,
and see, like I've started coming to the last 2 years. I've really started seeing like a counselor and stuff, and I started realizing, like, yeah, man, like all these things that happen put anxiety on you because you're constantly second guessing yourself, second guessing your opinion, second guessing how you look, second guessing what you're doing.
Most definitely.
You know, and I honestly, God, I don't know how the Aboriginal people aren't as angry, more angry than they should be.
Yeah.
Like I know a group of them are.
Yeah.
And I know a group of them have a bit of anger, but they don't show it because they're kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
But man, those people got fucked up.
I think, yeah.
And I feel so bad for them. And I didn't know that until I came here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And for me, that's why I think so many of like my mandem that are like from Taurus, Koori backgrounds have mental health problems. Yeah. Because their whole life growing up, they were chased by the cops, they were chased by like gangs, they were chased by people because of their situations, of what they look like, the way they talk, the way they dressed. And because of that, they're now like some of my mandem, they're depressed as man. Depressed as shit. And they can't even pinpoint why. Yeah, it's because they lived their whole childhood. To me, when I'm talking to them, I said, because you lived your whole childhood in fear of being yourself.
And you feel you're not connected inside society.
No, and that's why they say we have to go back and connect to the land. You know, that's why they always get back to the land, because some of them don't even feel normal out here. Yeah. They come out to the city and it freaks them out because they've already been known to be scared of the white man. Yeah. You know?
Well, I know totally in places like Western Australia, Northern Territory, where there's you know, a lot of Aborigines. Yeah. I know there's a lot of, you know, fighting and anger like against. Like I know you know, a friend that used to live in WA. He took me there once into Western Australia, and he goes, man, honestly, don't look at them twice. Like, if they look at you, they'll want to fight you. Like they'll fight you. Like just 100%. Like because they're angry and all that, and just. Yeah, there's a lot of hate there too. Yeah, you know? and because of that's all they know. Then that affects your mental state of how you view people, how you see society. And you're just always angry, and that's not a healthy place to be. You come out to this world, to Sydney world from Western Australia, and you see that essentially, for lack of words, this side of the town, it's run by the white man. Yeah, you know, it is how it is. Yeah, but they don't like that, and that's where it just starts to play in your mind, man. And you start going through the city, you're hating everybody. You know, you're looking at everything 2 times. And it just creates this whole stigma around it where now the next generation coming up, if they're not educated properly, it just carries on. Yeah. You know what I mean? When I first started in the personal training game here in Sydney, I was working at the NCIE in Redfern, which is the National Centre of Indigenous Excellence. Yeah. And we were working with a group called I think it's called Tapu Taupo. It is a program that they run there. It's a free boxing program on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. And the police from the Central Police Station come into it and they box with the kids. Yeah, right. We have white women, white men from the neighborhoods. It's a promotion for all of them to come in so they can have this integration where these kids growing up, people that they bring in from the Northern Territory, that they bring in from Dubbo and all these cultures that haven't been exposed to the Western culture yet too much. They try to bring it together so that they can see, okay, we can box with them, they're cool. That's a cop who's a white man too, and that's cool to hang out with him. He's cool to chat to. It's not everybody. Yeah. And so that's what the program was on, and it's sick, man. You know, we'd leave the class, and you'll see little Indigenous kids sitting down with the white cop constable, and they having breakfast chatting. That wouldn't have happened 6-7 years ago, you know, 10 years ago. Never would have been a thing. And that type of integration now that's happening in the communities there, that's how this whole mental health barrier stigma gets broken down. Yeah. And these kids can talk about it more because it's not in my culture, and like my mom still finds this real hard to deal with. It's not a thing to have mental health problems. Oh, pray to God. Yeah. God will take care of it. Yeah. Okay. That's what I get told. Yeah. But that's not the case here. Like, do I believe in God? Yes, but especially in Australia, it's not a big faith society. No. It's not a big faith society.
And so, like, now you've got mental health and then you've got faith. And then you come into the conversations we're having now. Does racism affect mental health?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it does. But what happens when, in our black culture, we don't deal with our mental health by talking to each other, but we deal with it by praying to God.
Mm-hmm.
We ask our mum, hey mum.
Connect to the universe, connect to a higher source.
But I want to talk to you about it.
Mm.
And so now you see this loophole that we're creating here.
Mm.
Racism affects mental health. No one to talk to because culturally it's not something we talk about. And then you can't speak to your family, your co-friend, because they don't know either. Like I'm the only one in my family that they call me my family the mediator. Because when everything's going shit, I'm the one that they talk to. Because I'm the only one that has a level head to ask you what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
And I asked my mum goes to me, I've just gone through like a breakup and moved down and stuff. My mum asked me what's going on. I said, just like, Mama, I can feel like I have a bit of depression coming on and a bit of anxiety to leave my apartment because I don't know what's going on. But I know that that's just me getting used to change. Yeah. So I was trying to say, I had the answers to my problems. This is just how I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's just, you got to go through the motions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My mum threw back at me and goes, that's what happens when you don't go to church. You should have done what I said and just stayed here in New Zealand. And I love Mum, don't ever get me twisted, but man,
a big belief on that.
She's a God-fearing woman. The best they come, first generation, like first generation island migrant, that's all they know. Yeah. And I'm down for it because that's all I know too. But when I want to talk to my mother and not to God, I want my mother, And so that's where now I'm at this point where I'm really happy we're having this conversation, because then you have racism, cultural beliefs, and then you have faith in God, and it's like this big ball where in our culture to deal with the mental health is to believe in your faith. Yeah. But then it's hard because the racism and the mental health is almost being brought on by other people. Yeah. And so that's the situation I'm at right now with my mum in terms of mental health and talking about it. My mum doesn't want to talk about it because it's not a thing.
And at the same time, like, she doesn't really have the tools to deal with it. We're just all doing the best we can with the tools we have, right? And the tools she's used is faith and God. That's got her through it, right? So, and
that's what I essentially got generations of black families through it. It's because they always had a belief that something better was going to come, and I'm here for it because that is what gets me through. Yeah. Believing and having faith that a day of equality, a day of change, a day of being seen as the same is coming, and that's cool.
And that's kind of what this podcast, this session with Danny is about, is to shed light on it. To shed light because it's a bit of a taboo, especially in Australia. It's not spoken about much, and you say the racism card. It's like, it's almost talking about, like you say Muslim, do you say, oh my God, Black Lives Matter. It's like this tiptoe bullshit around. I don't think that's helping. No. I think discussions like this to understand each other, what you're going through, what I don't even really go through, I don't even really understand as such, because I don't have to, think about, am I going to go there, like, am I big, my colour, all that, get picked on with that. And
you go in 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. There's, I'd say 90. 90. These days.
At the time, I'm sitting down. I put up in my story. Sitting down with Nick Kyrgios and Chris Kyrgios, having breakfast.
That's straight
so
up.
This is what Unbroken means to me. So apart from the fact that we stand for the people, the third string, the fourth string, not the first string that always make it. We're looking at the people that show up. Yeah. Day in, day out. Yeah. Don't know if they're going to make it. Don't know if they're going to get selected. Don't know if they're going to get that pay rise, but they show up. Yeah. And they keep showing up day in, day out. And this
Unbroken.
To be a part of Unbroken is to be a part of a family that celebrates the process. We've never been given anything. We've failed more than we've succeeded. But the measure of a person isn't how many wins you have, it's how well you bounce back after you've taken a hit. As humans, we spend majority of our lives trying to be different to the crowd. In doing so, we lose sight of what makes us unique and what makes us happy. At Unbroken, we like to think differently, we like to do differently, and encourage our customers to be exactly who they are. Our in-house team is constantly seeking the next move. We are constantly adding these 1%ers to make sure that what you get, your service, your garments, is different. Yeah, yeah. And this kid said to me, why can't you spit out your words? You got gaps in your teeth, you black cunt. Oh, mate. Wow. Right? And that wasn't even for my white dude. Damn. That was for my bro. That was for like a Samoan lad. And I was just like, what? Like, these are the things.
And do same color, black and black, when you put shit on each other in racial, like you're fucking black like this, is it the same?
And this
Is
what
it,
this
is
what
it
I'm
like, because you
I
know,
think
in
speak up
America
about
they
it,
say
right?
the N-word, and I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so like we can talk to each other.
you know, like we said, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
How is like I saw a politician get in trouble about saying all lives matter.
No.
How do you feel
Nah,
with this?
fuck
How
no.
is the all lives?
That's another funny story. I actually kicked a member of our group out of Unbroken because of that.
What he said? All
He
lives
said
matter.
all lives matter because that's not the point of discussion right now.
Yeah.
All lives matter is the dream.
Yeah.
That's not what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. And
Yeah.
like, he put up a post as I am black, didn't ask how I was. I wouldn't say I'm brown, I would say I'm brown, I wouldn't say I'm like African black, but I'm not white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
My coach, who was at the time was shooting for Unbroken with us, he's black American.
Yeah.
He spoke on behalf of Adelaide at the BLM march. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, yeah.
Like he's a big spokesman for it.
Yeah.
And my business, he was an associate, I guess you could say, posted and was like, I'm tired of all of this shit. Fuck that shit. All lives matters. Victim, but and I just messaged him and I just said, you're out.
Wow.
That's not even the discussion.
This.
100% all lives matter. To think that that was even an option is dumb and delusional.
Yeah.
That's not the argument here. The argument here is that the specific race at that point of time, in that time frame of our lives, was done by this cult.
Yeah.
And then the black community took a rise and said, yo, this is an ongoing thing. Man, the Asians could have done the same
It's
thing.
like
the Hispanics could
The
have
straw
done the
that
same.
broke the camel's back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every single racial group could have done this.
It was coming.
They just were the ones to do it.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And what they're saying is not that all lives don't matter, but we all matter. That's all it is. But right now it doesn't. So the whole all lives matter thing, that really doesn't sit well with me because that's almost ignorance. You're deciding to see past this and have your own private agenda. Be like, oh no, fuck that, all lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
No. You have to first be educated, but then you can't be angry because they're not obviously, once again, educated on the actual words that they're saying.
Yeah.
They haven't actually done their research to look behind what the whole movement, how it started, why it started, and why we're here, where we've come from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for them to understand that, they're not, if they don't, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with respect as well. Like, even if you don't understand it as such, like Black Lives Matter, and you want to think like, but wait on, all lives matter. Yeah, we get all lives matter, but still just have some respect for the movement of Black Lives Matter. We get all lives matter. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
But we don't need to like take it away from Black Lives Matter. They you know, there's a stand for it. There's a point why this is happening. Like, it's not just like a racist thing to divide white and black people. It's be like, hey, this is fucking happening. We want to make everybody aware of it. We know all lives matter, but this needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So
it's
I
like
think
they're looking at it and be like, oh no, fuck COVID, all diseases matter. Let's start worrying about it. It's not.
We know
that COVID's fucked, and we know that all these diseases.
But right now,
fucked.
COVID is the big thing.
COVID's the big dog in the house right now.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. It was just like for so long, it's just been boiling. And you know what? It took a guy being pretty much choked to death on the concrete for it out of yourself.
It's embarrassing to yourself.
Person.
Like, you just look like a piece of shit.
Shit, man. And like,
so it's not cool at all.
It's not cool. And like, you don't actually do anything by commenting. Like, if you were trying to bring awareness or something, you look like a dickhead. If you got like a...
The only thing you could say
I'm trying to find an excuse here.
Is nothing at all?
Yeah,
or
like,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How cool, or wow, lucky you.
Especially when like, you're blessed to have so many cultures in touch with you.
On this is that, do you know when a form in Australia, it says, are you Australian, Torres Strait Islander, Aboriginal, what box are you? And you can even call some places in the government and they ask you, and it's like, I've been thinking in the last year or so, when I'm like, how can I help change this stigma of racism and Black Lives Matter? And I think, well, when I tick the box, I'm white or whatever, and then I can imagine if a Torres Strait Islander or Aboriginal ticks the box, it's making us different.
Yeah.
Like, it's making us different.
Unknowingly has put you in two different boxes.
Unknowingly, it's like the white guy goes, oh yeah, and then the Aboriginal, the Torres Strait Islander goes, yeah, and then it says, are you and it goes like a bit deeper and all that, and it's like, well, now we're actually putting you, and actually you're signing it to go, yeah, we are different. Like, and it's like, how is this bringing us closer? How do we, like, I get it, there is a point to it. I get it.
We get the form, it's there to put you guys in a box so we know what culture you're from, and for certain forms to understand that, okay, this person may get government funded or some sort, but unconsciously you have ticked and put yourself in a box.
Like, how does, you know, the Torres Strait Islander and the Aboriginal feel like, oh, we're ticking it, like, does that mean we're less?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're, like, what are we? Are we like weirdos? Are we gremlins?
Because
like,
really, they're the Australians.
They're the native Australians, right?
So you're making them tick Torres Strait and non-Australians tick Australian.
So this is like, I think it's a disconnect. So I don't know how to fix that. And before we go deep, on that same form, I don't know if you've noticed, they have male, female, and unknown.
Is it unknown or is it other?
I think it's unknown. It's unknown, I'm pretty sure, because I did a post on, like, a story on this, and I said, is anyone out there? I'm just a bit confused on how there's an unknown. And somebody actually got back to me, a lady, and says an unknown is more of a feeling than...
Like the non-binary thing? Like
it's non-binary, and I'm like, I'm open to it, but I'm trying to understand, because it's like, but surely you can go to the doctors and get a blood test, and it's going to tell you whether you're male, female, more, or... Surely it's not going to come up unknown
half the time.
So that's another confusing thing. That's a whole nother topic.
Like, I've never liked my boss. I've never had a boss I liked. I hate them all.
Sounds like your first boss open to being a great guy. That men actually can be good people as well. So there's another lesson in this. I feel that, you know, maybe everyone's gone through life and experienced things. Maybe there's a possibility that there's another life that you're not living because you're just doing the same thing over and over, and you don't know what you don't know. And if you always do what you always have done, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Yeah. You can't change if nothing changes.
Exactly.
I think I saw that from you.
Yes.
I did see it from you.
Yeah. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So it sounds like, you know, there's a lot of changing. But let's wrap this one up. Tell me, let's leave on a note. What's your final note for this session on this podcast, on this Black Lives Matters podcast, motivational inspiration? What's the final thoughts?
The final thoughts. My first coach in rugby, he said, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yes, it's meant to be.
And that's something I've always held to. And it's a true one, right?
Thank you, Danny. It was a pleasure, man.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank
Great
you for
session.
having me. Hope you have me back soon, my man.
Of course, man.
Don't forget about me.
We'll be doing a follow-up.
Yeah, and maybe we can get like some food in there and have a little talk about some
Couple of nibbles.
Couple of nibbles,
Sorry,
you know.
man.
I'm
Next
a big
time.
guy, you know. But yeah, thank you, bro. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to have my word, and I hope you guys enjoy what I had to say. Like, it's just personal experiences, and honestly, if you guys listen to this, please reach out. Let me know what you think. I'd love to talk to you guys more. Even just give me a follow. Let me know you listen to the podcast. I'll follow you back. We can chat more. But thank you for listening. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It was dope.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Yeah. So now I'm cashing checks on my bullies.
Thanks for listening to The Mindset Motivator with Chris Simons. If you want to take your life to the next level, check out chrissimonscoaching.com.